30 days ago, I fired my entire content team and replaced them with Claude. And today, not only are my views up, but I tripled my revenue in this short amount of time. Now, I've been making YouTube videos for almost 6 years now, before AI was a thing. And so far, I'm at 380,000 subscribers. I've generated 7 figures with this YouTube channel alone. And I get to do this all while traveling the world with my girlfriend, serving my clients online, and having time to train Muay Thai every morning. So when I tell you I replaced my entire content marketing team with AI, this is in theory. I'm literally saving thousands of dollars and reducing the amount of people I have to manage. Now, I'm making this video for anybody who's ever struggled with content. Maybe you have limited resources. Maybe you're trying to get something off the ground while you work a 9 to 5 and you just can't afford an entire team yet. From my personal experience, you don't need an entire team. You can actually get Claude and other AI tools to do all the work for you while you build your one-person business and get the ball rolling. So I want to show you my personal AI workflows, the ones I actually use to make this video right here and all the other videos on my channel. And as a bonus, I'll show you how you can get my exclusive Claude skills for free that will allow you to produce content just like me. So if it's good enough for me to get hundreds of thousands of views on my videos, I'm confident it will help you out on your journey. So let me first begin on why I even fired my content team in the first place. So a few months ago, my YouTube channel was doing really well. My attention was spread thin. I was doing too many things, from sales, creating content, operations, managing people. And so I was looking for different agencies or freelancers and things like that to help me with my content. So I stumbled upon this agency that specialized in YouTube, right? And they said they can help me come up with ideas, write me the scripts, and with editing. Now, I already had editors, so I was like, all right, how about you guys come up with the ideas for me and you guys write the scripts, and that should save me hours and hours of time every single week, because those two are one of the most difficult and time-consuming parts of content creation, the idea and script writing. So in the beginning, everything was good, right? We're off to a good start. They kind of understood my personal brand and they started coming up with ideas. Some scripts were pretty decent. And so basically every week they would give me a new script. I would basically just read it. That would be the video, give it to my editors, and it's done. So in the beginning, it did work. But over time, what you find is that humans make errors. So what I found for this particular agency was that, you know, the quality of content just kept going down. I can feel it was like lower effort. The ideas weren't that competitive. The scripts weren't that great. And it kind of felt like they were just rehashing my old videos, running it through Claude, and just like, you know, giving me a fresh script when it really is just the same thing, right? And this is the common problem when you deal with humans. Intrinsically, people will try to do the bare minimum work while trying to get paid the most. And that's just human nature, right? So I don't blame them. It is what it is, but obviously an AI doesn't have those kind of emotions and just does the work for you. So because of all these problems, essentially what happened was my channel was going down. My views were going down. The ideas weren't competitive. When I looked at the scripts, I'm like, oh my God, dude, this is not good at all. I have to like rewrite the whole thing or this video is gonna flop. So I was in a bad spot where I was like, dude, you know what? I'm just gonna do it myself. So I fired the agency and I'm like, all right, if they're just taking my old videos and running through Claude and giving me this watered down version of myself, why don't I just use Claude and make the videos actually good? And so I really started getting deeper into Claude, how to use Claude skills, how to write these scripts, and using certain techniques that I learned and created for myself. Literally within 30 days, I 5x my views. Because of the views, we got so many email signups. I did a webinar, we got a bunch of sales calls. I hired a salesperson, and then our revenue just like more than tripled once I started taking over of just 2 things, the content and the script writing. Everything else was like kind of the same. It was just the content and script writing that changed the game for me, right? And to multiply my revenue. And right now we're just really getting started. So what I want to show you in this video is what exactly did I do after I fired the agency and took over myself, because I was the one doing all the work, creating all the skills. I'm in the trenches, so I know exactly what's going on, and I want to pass it off to you guys so that instead of hiring an agency or hiring people who are not going to be good for you, right? How about just doing it yourself using Claude with a $20 Claude subscription, right? Now, real quick, everything I've showed you so far in this video will show you how to actually get views, but views itself don't always pay the bills. In order for you to escape your 9 to 5, you actually need to get some clients. And that's why I want to invite you to a free training where I'm going to show you exactly how to, 1, build a personal brand, create content, and get clients that come to you. But number 2, once you actually get the views, how do you actually monetize these clients? What are you supposed to sell them? Who is your ideal customer? And why would they want to work with you versus anybody else? else. And best of all, I'm gonna show you how to do all of this using AI. So if you wanna secure your spot for this live training, check the link in the description, sign up while you still can. Seats are limited, and I will see you live. So like I was alluding to, the main thing here is ideas are everything. So if you look at a content pipeline, before you even get to any AI automations or using Claude, you need to understand the structure. Typically when you make a YouTube video, or even if it's an Instagram video or LinkedIn post, they all follow the same thing. You start with an idea, then you have a thumbnail, title, then you write the script. Then you film it, you edit it, you post it, and you review the analytics to see what worked, what didn't work, and you try again. As you can see, the most important part that determines everything is going to be the idea. If the idea is not good and the person who's coming up with the ideas doesn't understand the market, they're not doing the proper research, they're not using AI, it doesn't matter how good the video is, it's just not going to work. Check out these two different videos, right? One of them, the agency came up with the idea, they did the thumbnail and the whole thing. The other one is the one I did once I started taking over everything, right? So what is the difference between these two videos? It's really just the idea, okay? I still performed the video really well. The editing was really good. Is this newer video 100 times better than the other video? No, it's just the idea is different, right? And it's all about understanding where the YouTube market is, what your ideal customer is looking for, and understanding which ideas to pick. Now the question you might be wondering, okay, that makes a lot of sense, but what exactly is a good idea? And what we're going to cover is how to determine what a good idea is, but number two, how you can actually find these ideas for your business and your personal brand. Now, as we go into the anatomy of what a good idea is, I'm going to first show you the fundamentals. Then I'm going to show you how to use Claude skills to find these ideas instantly. But I need you to understand the fundamentals, because without that, no skill is going to save you if you don't get why something works. So the first thing is the idea needs to be a hot emerging topic, right? Something that's growing. So obviously in the AI space, it's booming, right? Claude skills, Claude co-work, ChatGPT, Codex, all these keywords are blowing up. So that's one of the first things you want to look for. Is this topic something that's hot and continuing to grow? Number two, you need to find ideas that are high demand, low supply. So high demand means a lot of people are searching it. It's an emerging topic, right? And it gets a lot of search volume every single month and people are interested in learning about it. Number two, it needs to have low supply, meaning low competition. Of course, if you enter any kind of idea that has high demand, low supply, you're more likely to get views, right? Number three, outliers. So for outliers, you can use a tool called vidIQ. That's what I use. And basically what happens is when you go on anyone's YouTube channel, you'll see these little scores, right? So it's just a score that will show you how well this video is doing relative to the other videos, right? So if you're going on my channel, you're like, oh, this is a 5x outlier, 2x, 10x outlier, this one's a 17x outlier, this one's a 74x outlier, right? So when people go on my channel, that's why you see so many people trying to copy my video, because I was one of the first people to pop off using this kind of packaging and the idea, then you're gonna get a lot of copycats, right? So outliers are very important. Even though something is an outlier, you need to understand also where it is on the adoption curve, right? So an adoption curve is basically like how trends catch on. Usually you have the innovators who do something first, like let's say the first person to talk about AI on YouTube, right? And then the early adopters are gonna catch on, they're gonna follow the innovators and also talk about AI. Then you have the early majority and the late majority, which is like the general population, they're going to catch on to AI too. And then laggards, the last piece of it is like when your parents start using AI. When I came out with this video here, it was an outlier. There's a lot of things I did to make sure the idea was good, and it just blew up, right? 380,000 views. So I was an early adopter. I wasn't the first one to make this video. I was maybe the fifth one, right? But because I was so early, I caught that wave and it was one of the best videos in the space at the time. A month later, you see all these copycats copying my exact title, copying my thumbnail, copying like all the little details of the thumbnail, even copying the script of my video itself, right? And when you get bigger creators, like let's say this guy here, he has 2 million subscribers on YouTube. And once he's making this video, copying this title that I have word for word, it's over. You know what I mean? He's like the late majority now, right? If he's catching on, then everyone else who's going to copy him, it's going to saturate the market, and we're entering the laggards period. So even if you look at this idea, you're like, oh, it's an outlier, 17x, right? And this other big creator did it. That's actually a bad sign, because the demand for this idea has already been fulfilled by the supply. So meaning if you copy everything, the script, the title, all that, you're probably just going to get a couple thousand views, right? Because it's over. You got to find the next opportunity. And the last piece of the puzzle is your unique angle. If you make a video and you want to take an outlier, you take someone's thumbnail, title, whatever, you still need to have a different perspective. Otherwise, you're seen as a copycat and nobody will take you seriously. So take an idea that works, but you need to remix it so that your script only works for you. Now that you understand the fundamentals, I want to show you how to take these fundamentals and use it to find ideas using Claude, right? So let's say there's a hot topic that's popping up right now, I'm seeing on YouTube, right, at the time of this recording, and it's ChatGPT Codex. Codex is pretty much the competitor to Claude, okay? Works pretty much exactly the same way, and I think it's a direct response to the popularity of Claude. So what's gonna happen is if you go on YouTube, you type in Codex, you're gonna see all these new videos that are popping off, right? And what we're looking for is the outlier score, but also the view velocity, okay? So outlier score meaning how well this video did relative to other videos. View velocity is just how many views is it getting now. If a video is not getting a lot of views now, probably not worth it to make. It needs to be getting views like today, you know, like I wanna see like hundreds of views per hour, not like 10 views per hour, right? So Codex, they're doing a really big marketing push. That's why so many people are talking about them, and it's getting a lot of search volume, right? So if I wanted to determine if this idea is worth my time, what I would do is I would go into Claude, and then I would use my skill called PD Content Hunter. Now, if you want this skill for yourself and you want to do the exact same process that I use to find these video ideas that get hundreds of thousands of views, I actually put a link in the description for you to get a free download of this skill of the PD Content Idea Hunter, and I'm also going to have some other bonus skills for you, and which I'll mention later. So link is in the description if you want to get that, right? So I type in /PD Codex and I say, find me the top ideas for ChatGPT Codex that I can make a video about, right? So for this one, I'm just going to make it really general. Usually I'll go a little bit deeper. I'll do a little research on the topic first, and then I have a little more nuanced insights. But for now, let's just keep it simple, right? Once I run it through ChatGPT, what the skill is going to do is it's going to find all the best ideas relating to this keyword. And how it does that is it uses X, Twitter, YouTube, forums to try to find like where's the demand, where's the supply, what's the competition. It uses vidIQ to see the supply and demand as well, what's, all that kind of stuff, and it puts it all together, right? So you don't have to think too much about how it works, just use the skill and it'll do it for you, right? That's why I made it for you guys. And then based on this keyword, we look at it and we're like, okay, right now there's like 4 million people using Codex. A lot of them are non-coders. And then it kind of shows you like the supply and demand for this keyword, right? Based on the supply and demand and what people are saying and what's working on YouTube, for this particular skill, it's going to give me 3 different ideas and it's going to score them at a 25, right? And it's going to use the criteria that I just showed you, the hot emerging topic, supply demand, outlier, adoption curve, unique angle. So for this one, it's a 22 out of 25. So is it a hot topic that's getting a lot of marketing push? Yes. Supply and demand. There are people making videos, but it's not so saturated yet. It might be on the early adopter curve. Outliers, yeah, there are a lot of people who are hitting outliers with this. Actually it says 5 out of 5 for adoption curves. So that's good, early majority. And then your unique angle. So unique angle is going to be dependent on you, right? Do you have a unique perspective? Have you used it to do anything, right? That's going to be very important. Otherwise, it's not going to be that interesting. And it's going to give me more details on, based on the ideas they give me, what are the recommendations that which one I should do based on what it knows about me. For my channel, I focus a lot on how to do sales and marketing and really make money using AI. So it's going to take that into account. When you do it for yourself, it's going to know more about what you want to do and make recommendations based on that, right? So a skill kind of adapts to you based on the information it has about you. And then it'll even give me 3 videos to study first. So obviously you don't want to just like go in blind, right? You got to watch other videos, understand it a little bit more before you create the content. Then it's going to give all the sources, right? So essentially every idea that I create, I just run it through the skill. That's how you find good ideas. And what's interesting is when I was using the agency, it's so surprising that, they probably had their version of this process, but because they didn't have this checklist, when I look back on all the ideas that they gave me, they would probably be scoring like a 10 out of 25, right? Like it's so obvious in hindsight that you just hit these things. If you check all the boxes, you're likely to get views. That's just how it works, right? But because when I reflect on my older videos, they just didn't check the boxes, right? They weren't going for high demand, low supply. They weren't even thinking in that way. And I think this is the biggest mistake most creators make. You're not stuck at getting less than 100 views because you're, not good or not technical. It's just you're not checking all the boxes to pick the right opportunity. So obviously coming up with ideas is very important, but something I've been playing around with is actually using AI to generate images, ideas, and a lot of creatives. So recently I've been using Higgsfield AI for a lot of my AI creative generations. You probably see my thumbnails or any images that you see within a video. A lot of it's done with Higgsfield. Now, the cool thing about Higgsfield is they recently launched a new feature called Supercomputer, and essentially it remembers certain things about you, right? So, it knows I like dark aesthetics. I gave it some images to remember. I like to train Muay Thai. I'm running a business called Founder X, and I just keep adding to the memory so that as I create images, it's not creating these random generative stuff. It's very specific to my taste. So how am I using it day to day, right? So as you can see, I'm actually in Phuket, Thailand for a Muay Thai training camp, and I'm going to be here for the next 7 days training Muay Thai and working, right? And one of the things I wanted to do was do B-roll. So I went on Higgsfield Supercomputer. I said, hey, I'm going to do a trip to Thailand. I need some shots, some storyboarding so that I can go around the beach and, where I'm staying at and what kind of shots should I get for YouTube, right? So it's going to give me all the shots, the location, the props, everything I need, the camera angle, and it has it in written detail. And then I was like, okay, but I want the visual understanding of this, right? And so it created all these visuals of, okay, these are the shots that it thinks I should get that will help sell Founder X, which is my program helping people start businesses with AI, right? And these are actually pretty good shots. And I would know because last time I came to the beach, I actually did a shot like this and it was really sick. I'll go ahead and play it right now. And so it's really smart because it knows like what is actually a good shot. So outside of storyboarding, I use it to quickly brainstorm different thumbnail ideas. So I literally just got a raw photo I had, it kind of knows my style. And I also gave it one of my assets. And then it could quickly like put it in my hand and things like that. Now, this one's not that good here, but like these ones are actually better. Typically for thumbnails, we don't just purely use AI. We use AI to generate the asset and then we Photoshop it together. But this is just a quick way for me to, for me, I don't really open Photoshop too often. I have other people to do that. If I want to create assets or create ideas really quickly without asking anybody, this is the way to do it. And even if I want to create some 3D assets using my characters, I literally got one of my assets, combined it with a MacBook, made it orange, and then it made this nice animation, which I can play as B-roll as I'm talking about anything related to Claude. Not only for 3D graphics, but also 2D graphics, right? So I took a picture of me training in Muay Thai here, and then I wanted the aesthetic of 247, which is a clothing brand. So I like the way they did this texture. It's very vintage poster kind of feeling. I asked it to combine it together, switch out the words, and this is what it came up with. So not bad. This is something that I can actually post on my YouTube community post. Obviously got to take out the logos and stuff, but it's pretty good. I even tried taking one of C-Bum's. He's a basically a very famous bodybuilder, and I was like, oh, that's a pretty sick YouTube community post. What if I took that, made it black and white, added the text here, but changed my text, and pain is the signal, right? Which is something I say in my videos. And so it actually works pretty well. So essentially, if you use Higgsfield Supercomputer, you don't really need a big design team. You can do the work of like 5 designers, just you talking to the prompt, and it remembers your style and everything like that. Now, Higgsfield is actually a sponsor for this video. So if you want to generate these kind of assets like I do, I actually put a free link in the description for you to try it out for free. You can play around with it and see if it's right for you. But now that you understand how to find these golden ideas, the next step of the process is writing scripts that don't sound like AI slop. So the biggest problem I had with the agency I used before was every time I would get the script, it just sounded like AI wrote it. It just felt like a rehash of another video. They probably just took the transcript and said, hey, Claude, write me a new video about this topic, right? And that just doesn't work. You need the right structure, you need the right frameworks, and I'm about to give it to you right now in this video. And I actually made this diagram using Claude to kind of explain what a good structure is for a YouTube script, right? So every YouTube script that I personally create on my channel, which is more talking head, educational, we do this simple format. So we start with the intro. Typically, it's some kind of big hook, big promise, credibility. We roll in a lot of B-roll for credibility as well, because we like to show the desired outcome of, if you watch my video, this is what you're gonna get. This is the life you could potentially live if you know what I know, right? So it's all about what they can get from watching the video. So this is how you keep people on board for the first 30 seconds, which is very important. Then you transition into the bodies. So every video, it depends, right? Like you might have 3 bodies minimum. Sometimes it's 4, 5, 6, 7, depends on the video. So if your video is like, top 7 ways to make money with ChatGPT, then it's gonna be 7 bodies, right? So basically, everybody's pretty much the same structure, right? They're just like different chapters in a video. I start with a hook, right? Which is like a big promise, what they're gonna get if they watch the whole thing, some kind of story. So in this video, I said, oh, the reason why I fired my agency was because, right, I'm telling a story first before I teach any frameworks. After I tell a story, I teach the framework, which I showed you earlier, right? Like the checklist and all that, why it matters to you, how you can use it. And then I'll have a call to actions, usually on the body number 1. Then I just do it again and again and again, right? So it's the same thing every single time. All I'm doing is swapping the topic that I'm talking about in the content, but the structure itself is always the same. So I don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. And then for the close, obviously for me, it's mostly like kind of summarizing everything, call to action, and it's pretty much done. So this is the general structure that you want. If I want to come up with ideas, all I need to do is go into Claude and I will use my skill PD, YouTube, scriptwriter, right? If you want a download to this skill, again, I put it in the link in the description so you can get my idea hunter as well as my scriptwriter all in one download, okay? So I press enter, and then what it's gonna do, it's gonna find the idea that we just talked about and it's gonna write the script. Now, an important thing to understand is I typically like to have the intro word for word, the call to actions and the close almost word for word, and everything in the body is really just a bullet point. So even in this video, I just had the bullet points. I kind of talk. Sometimes I'll have an idea in my head as I'm speaking and I'll just like say it in the video and it makes it really natural. If you want to do everything word for word, you can. I just find that really difficult personally, right? But the intro's very important where you don't want to mess it up. You don't want to freestyle. That's why I always do the intro word for word. So once you use the YouTube script writer skill, it's going to give you the script. So give it to you in the text format where you can just like see it on Claude, but you can also make it into a nice HTML. For this video, I just made it into a nice HTML to just make it easier for you to follow, right? So if I'm making a video on Codex, ChatGPT Codex, let's say it's the 5 ways people are quietly making money with ChatGPT Codex, okay? So it's gonna write the hook and the intro, and then for internal use, it's gonna give me the context to help me understand what I'm talking about a little bit more. And then it's gonna go into the bodies, right? So in this one, it's gonna be the 5 ways to actually make money with Codex. And then it's gonna, give you the entire script for this, right? Now, again, I like to turn these into bullet points. So you can just ask Claude, hey, this is good, but turn it into bullet points and you're done, right? And if you need a diagram, you would just say, hey, based on this, like the words that we have here, what kind of diagram makes the most sense? Can you help me create it with Claude Design, right? Yeah, I mean, basically you have all the bodies, call to actions, the close, and then even for these like graphics, right? Like you can turn this into a diagram that you put onto your video as well, where you can be like, oh, okay, so if you're trying to find the best way to make money, which one should you pick? It's creating all the assets for you, okay? You don't have to like design this stuff yourself. Like AI is literally doing all the work. And that's pretty much my script writing process. And once AI gives me, its first draft, I will basically just go bullet by bullet or like chapter by chapter and just fix anything that feels a little AI. Like AI has a tendency to use certain words like, here's the kicker, I'm sure if you use AI, you see a lot of that, right? And you can tell that it's AI. So you need to just make sure it doesn't do that. Take it out, replace it with human words, especially the intro. And that's pretty much how I make all my videos. And the most important part to understand is that the script will write itself if the idea is good, okay? AI, even for me, is doing a lot of the outlining and writing for the script itself. But I'm the one coming up with the ideas, looking at the market, feeding it into my idea hunter skill on Claude to figure out if it's a worthy opportunity. Because again, the difference between a video that gets 3,000 views and 300,000 videos, it's not necessarily how good the script is. It's not how pretty the diagrams are or how nice your background is. The most important thing is the idea. That's why you see all these other AI creators looking like they filmed on their iPhone, still getting 100,000 views. It's because the idea is good. They're first to the market. They're getting all the views before other people who are more polished are too slow to come in. So speed is the name of the game. So now you have the exact system on exactly how I created content. I gave you my free Claude skills. And some of you guys might take this and try to make content on your own, while other people, you might need a little more help. Now, for those of you who actually need help figuring out what your business idea should be, what kind of content you should be making, and how to monetize that content and sign high-ticket clients, I invite you to book a call with me and my team. And on the call, we're gonna guide you through exactly what this process can look like for you if I personally help you out on your journey. We've had people like Sandy, for example. She came to me when she was just a 9-to-5 employee selling insurance. And within just the past couple of months, she went from 0 to 30,000 subscribers and has become an AI creator. And this is someone who had 0 experience when we started working together in AI, and now she's making more than $10,000 per month and started her own school community teaching other people AI. So if that's interesting to you at all and you want to learn how you can do this too, book a time on our calendar and we will talk to you soon. Now, if you want to watch another video on how you can build a profitable one-person business, check out this video next.